Josh, real quick, tell me why I should give a fuck about the Fantastic Four. I never cared about that family. Why I don't care about a dude that is always on fire, someone you can't see, a dude that stretches like Twizzlers,
someone you can't see,
and a Rocky dude. I don't care.
Oh my god!
Tell me, just real quick. Tell me.
So the reason on the comic and canon side of things why you should care is because they are going to be the next backbone of the MCU. That's essentially it. In their connection with Kang, depending on how this plays out. But that's essentially why. And I say that because in a lot of ways, they are a vehicle towards bringing in Secret Wars, but also a vehicle to bring in X-Men as well. And they've already sowed the seeds for both. And we're starting to see things manifest a little bit more. It's slow as hell, but we're seeing some things move. And granted, there's all this talk all online about the different fan castings, and everybody's been saying this, that, and the third. And I just want some people of color in the casting. Thank you. But
they only gonna give us one. It's gonna be the one where you can't see him. It's gonna be the
and they've
thing.
already
They
said
gonna call him the thing.
they've already.
That's right. That's what his name is gonna be.
Oh my
the
god!
Thing.
They're gonna. I'm gonna
Hey,
start, lay
thing.
my burdens down right now. Take me now, Lord. But they've already had this conversation about like circulating Daveed Diggs potentially being Ben Grimm the Thing.
That's right.
Which I'm tired of black folks and specifically being held behind characters that are digitized and CGI'd.
Yes.
I'm still mad about Lupita Nyong'o, if we're going to talk about her characters being out here as the alien. Her big role after getting that Oscar. I was like, okay, that's not okay. But like, they've already talked about him being that. And I get on one end that it would be very interesting to have, one, a black biracial Jewish character portray Ben Grimm, who is also in the comics Jewish, and actually go into his Jewish faith, which would be great, and his Jewish identity. But at the same time, I am still tired of black folks being forced to hide behind CGI'd characters and not being able to give us the representation that we also deserve. So that's one thing. And I also, for me, I would have loved to have, which is not official, the casting, I would love to have Nicole Bahari be Susan Storm.
She was on Sleepy Hollow, right?
That's right, Sleepy Hollow.
Right.
She was also in the movie Breaking alongside John Boyega. She was in Striking Vipers. If you've seen that episode of Black Mirror that had Yahya Abdul-Mateen as well as Anthony Mackie, she is a talent underrated, completely underrated. But like, she looks fabulous blonde. I'm just saying.
The only reason why I just have so much hesitation with Fantastic Four is like all these different iterations and y'all still weren't able to get it right. Like X-Men, y'all got it right.
Yeah.
Spider-Man, y'all got it right. And I mean, hey, shout out to Blade, the granddaddy of them all, which
Wesley.
people don't like to pay attention to.
They don't.
But he was the one that started it off, really.
Exactly.
People are like, oh, The Matrix came out before that.
Yep.
Spider-Man came out before that. X-Men came out before that.
I'm just saying, if it wasn't for Blade Trinity, I do not think that Ryan Reynolds would have a job as Deadpool because his character literally uses dual swords. I think that was enough to show.
Like that was almost like a test screen.
Right.
Yeah.
That was enough to show that, hey, you could be the
that's
Merc
why I
with the
want to
mouth.
give a shout out to Blade. But so that's the only reason why I'm kind of skeptical, because I'm like, if you're able to get all these other superhero properties and doing well, what is it about Fantastic Four that we're missing? And what is Kevin Feige going to do differently that these other people haven't? What do you think?
I think, one, you make them all white, it's going to lose a lot of interest, one, because again, they are the vehicle for X-Men as well as the Kangs, the future of Kang, right? But I'm just saying, when
Kangs,
the
original Kangs,
the original Kangs, we was Kangs,
OG
Kang. But I also think that, you know, making them white is kind of doing a disservice when we have all these different characters and this diversity of like black and brown new stories coming out. So just doing that and having us focus only on a film, whereas these four white folks would be a detriment to what they're doing. I will say, however, like moving forward, if we're trying to like, you know, talk about X-Men and stuff, technically in the comics, Reed Richards and Susan Storm's son, Franklin Richards, is a mutant and one of the most powerful ones on top of that. And so much so that he is able to honestly rewrite universes if he needs. He can rewrite reality. He is like Wanda, all right? And on top of that, Kang is connected to Reed Richards because they are also family. Long, very distant into the future, of course, but like a descendant nonetheless. And so that also ties it in. And so that means if they're going to be a part of that, we can dive into what that looks like if they, one, connect, what it looks like when they have a child, if they already have a child, if they're introduced, because this may not be, from what it's been told, an origin story of Fantastic Four, but more so just introducing them to the rest of the MCU already set as Fantastic Four, which means there could be a child already. And if that child is there, that child's a mutant. And if that child is a mutant, which we've already had the conversation about Iman Vellani's character, Miss Marvel, being potentially being called a mutant she was in so many words called a mutant at the end of Miss Marvel, then you have an opportunity to continue this move towards mutants and introducing them into the MCU. But that's, again, depending on if we're getting the Fantastic Four and who's going to play on that on top of that. So I don't know. It's dicey because I want representation and I want diversity within there. And I also recognize that these characters or like the original family and like the original crew within Stan Lee's Marvel, universe. So I recognize what reverence they have. I also recognize, though, that if they're going to be introduced, we already have the Avengers as the OG family now for the MCU. So what else can they bring? And I think ultimately it's just using them as a vehicle for these new properties to come through.